I always go live, and this is the question I get a lot. How do I calculate my safe days? How do I know my ovulation days? So stick around. This video we are going to talk on how to calculate safe days, how to calculate ovulation days for those who want to get pregnant. For those who don't want to get pregnant, this is the right video for you. First of all, I'm very excited. This is my 100th video, and thank you for your support. Those who have already subscribed, if you know you haven't, hit that button for your support. So from here, just get a pen and a paper so that at the end of the day you will have gained something, so that we end this story of how do I calculate my safe days. So during menstruation we always have 4 phases. Yeah, so we have the menstruation phases, and the first phase is always the menstruation. The first phase is always the menstruation. The second phase is the follicular phase. The third phase is the ovulation phase. The fourth phase is the luteal phase. Yeah, so from here we are good to go. The next thing we are supposed to know from here is the length of your cycle. How do you calculate the length of your cycle? The first day you see blood is the first day of your cycle. When I talk about cycle, it doesn't mean the number of days you take to see blood. No, the length of your cycle is the period you see blood, then your cycle ends to the time that you see blood again. For example, today is 24th. Yeah, today is October 24th, and it's the first day you are seeing your blood for the first time, and the next time you will see your blood again, let's say it will be around date 24th of November. So this period, the period in between here to here, this is what's known as your cycle length. Yeah, so after knowing your cycle length, what next? The next thing is now this guy here, phase number 3, ovulation. Actually, that's our main interest in this video. So how do you calculate ovulation after knowing your cycle length? Why do you calculate ovulation? When you're calculating ovulation, it will help you to know your fertile days, and it will help you to know those days that you want to conceive. So again, before we proceed, let me just list a number of cycles we might have. There are those who have a cycle of 20 days. There are those who have a cycle of 28 days. Okay, let's say there are those who get these lengths that fall in between 21 days to 35 days. So if your cycle is falling in between these days, that is considered normal cycle. If you have a cycle of if your cycle is longer than 35 days, that's considered abnormal. If your cycle is also less than 21 days, that's also considered abnormal. So normal cycle should always fall under in between here. Now let's proceed to ovulation. How do we calculate ovulation? To calculate ovulation, it's always very easy. After you've known your cycle length, let's say your cycle is 28 days, you simply subtract 14 and you get 14. So on the day 14th of your cycle, you will be having your ovulation. So this will be the peak of your ovulation. Ovulation doesn't happen just for a day. It takes about 5 days. So day 14 is just one of the days you're ovulating, and it's the peak of your ovulation. If your cycle is 30 days, you simply subtract 14 and you'll get 16. If your cycle is 29 days, you subtract 14 and you will get 15. If your cycle is 21 days, you'll subtract 14 and you'll get 7. So up to this point, I'm sure you've noticed that there is something that is very, very unique. Yeah. And what unique, that thing that is unique is that we are always subtracting 14. And if you are very keen, I'm sure you're asking yourself, why 14? Where are you getting this 14? So this 14 is always the luteal phase. Luteal phase always comes after ovulation. During this phase, you can't get pregnant, and it always takes 14 days regardless of your cycle length. So again, I'm very, very sure you've noticed this one. It's very short. Yeah, it's very short. So during menstruation, some people always go up to 3 days, some go up to 5 days, some go up to 6 days, some 4, some 7. Yeah, some people go up to 7 days. So if you're having 7 days, if you're having 5 days cycle and your ovulation is on day 7 of your cycle, that is very, very risky, and you're likely to get pregnant anytime. Let's say your cycle is 21 days. Let's now begin 21 days, right? So on day 21, if you subtract 14, you'll get 7. Yeah, you'll get 7. After getting this 7, we agreed that on day 7, that is the peak of your ovulation. It's the peak. Yeah, and ovulation doesn't happen just once. So this 7, we always add 2 or subtract 2. So when you add 2 to 7, or when you subtract 2 from 7, you'll always get 5, and then to the higher end you'll always get 9. So days in between this period, you are ovulating. So I don't know if you are getting it. Let's try with those who are having 28 days cycle. If your cycle is 28 days, yeah, the luteal phase always 14 days. When you subtract, you get 14. So day 14 is the peak of your ovulation. And we've said ovulation doesn't happen just once. It's something that take up to 5 days. So to this 14, you add 2 or you subtract 2. If you subtract 2 from 14, you'll always get 12. And if you add 2, you'll always get 16. Yeah, so any day that falls in between these days, you are ovulating. So during these days, your chances of getting pregnant are very, very, very high. So for safe days, now let's assume, or let's just ignore this 16 completely. Let's ignore that 16 completely. Let's now deal with this 12 here. So we said your ovulation starts on day 12. Yeah, sperms, they live in your body for a period of 5 days. Yeah, so remember your cycle, your ovulation starts on day 12, then sperms live for 12 days. So if sperms live for 5 days. Yeah, so these 5, subtract it from 12. Yeah, 12 minus 5, you get 7. 12 minus 5, you get 7. So this one, we've subtracted this because it's the number of days that sperms take to live in your body. So 7. Yeah, let's say your cycle is 3 days. 3 from 7, we get 4 days. So the days that you are safe that you can't get pregnant are from the day you start seeing your blood, day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4, day 5, day 6, and day 7. Any day going forward, your chances of getting pregnant starts becoming high because sperm lives in your body for 5 days. Lastly, let's try with those who are having a cycle of 35 days. If your cycle is 35 days, simply subtract 14 and you will get 21. So the peak of your ovulation is day 21. Ovulation doesn't happen on one day. Yeah, it's not a one day thing. So to this 21, you add 2 or subtract 2 and you will get 23 and 19. So during this period is known as ovulation. Ovulation lasts for 24 hours, and to some instances it can even go plus. Yeah, it can even go up to 32 hours. Yeah, it can even go up to 32 hours. So after getting these 21, 21 is the peak of ovulation, and if you add 2 you get 23, you subtract 2 you get 19. So let's ignore this. Yeah, don't ignore it completely, it still has its role. Yeah, so sperm cells live for 5 days in your body. Yeah, so let's come here. This is the day you are starting ovulation. What if you had sex on day 17? There are still chances that you'll get pregnant because sperm cells will still be living, and therefore when ova is produced or when ova is released, it will get fertilized. Yeah, so to be safe, to be on the safer side, 19, let's subtract 5 days for the sperm's life. Yeah, so here we get 14 days, right? So day 14 going downwards to the day you started seeing your blood, those are your safe days. So from day 1 all the way to day 14 you are safe. Day 15 all the way to day 23 you are not safe. Yeah, and even this 23 we can add another 12 hours to it because ovulation can always delay. Yeah, there might be a jam or something so it can always delay. Yeah, so this one here not safe. Then again from here maybe we can add 1 day to make it 24 to be on the safer side. Yeah, we can add 1 day to make it 24. Then from here till you start seeing your blood again, this is another safe days. And remember, this cycle only works best for those who are having regular cycle. If you're having irregular cycle, please don't try this. In simple words, I've said, or to shorten things up, I've said to calculate ovulation, always subtract 14 to the length of your cycle, then add 2 or subtract 2. These days, the days that will fall in between there will be your fertile days. Then to the lower end, after subtracting 2, always minus 5 for the sperm's life cycle for you to be on the safer side. Thank you for watching. See you again in the next one. Cheers.